We live in a time where conversations about politics, particularly those involving President Donald Trump, are often passionate, polarizing, and deeply personal. People seem to love him or loathe him, with little room in between. But I have come to a different conclusion, one that turns the spotlight not outward, but inward. The real struggle isn't with Trump. The real struggle is with ourselves. What we see, criticize, or even admire in President Trump is often a reflection of our inner conflicts, our unfulfilled desires, and our battle between who we are and who we want to become. At the heart of every human being is a private war between two versions of self, the actual self and the ideal self. By the actual self, that's who we are today with all our flaws, habits, fears, and contradictions. The ideal self, that's who we wish to become. More disciplined, more courageous, more compassionate, more successful. Now, this gap between the two selves produces tension, discomfort, and sometimes even shame. And when we don't know how to resolve that tension within, we look for an external outlet, a symbol, a person, a political figure on which we can project our inner chaos. Take, for instance, my brother-in-law, who is nearly the same age as I, for the more than 30 years I have been married to his sister, he has taken many opportunities to convince me that the racism we experienced in our youth still exists today. Now that flies into the face of the reality that exists for me. But because of his view, President Trump looks different to him than he does to me. Now we tend to find whatever we are looking for, and often when we find it, we try to persuade others of our view. So he finds any instance he can to make sure he is right in his assessment and to make sure he looks good for being smart. Enter President Trump. For many, he is the perfect lightning rod. He's bold, brash, unapologetic, and unfiltered. He breaks political norms and he defies conventional expectations. Whether you admire him or detest him, it's nearly impossible to ignore him. But what if our visceral reactions to him are less about the man himself and more about what he mirrors back to us? For me, well, Trump represents the kind of unapologetic authenticity I crave, but I've never permitted myself to express. His refusal to play by the rules is something I secretly wish I could do in my own life, whether in the workplace with my family or even at church. Supporting him becomes a way of vicariously experiencing freedom from judgment and societal constraints. Now, for others, Trump represents the shadow self, the part of us we would rather not confront. His arrogance, his aggressive tone, and his refusal to admit fault may resonate uncomfortably with our own hidden pride, our fear of vulnerability, our desire to control how others see us. In this view, Trump becomes a projection screen for our personal struggles, our insecurities, and our deeply buried shame. Truth is, we all wrestle with ourselves, even my brother-in-law. The struggle between the flesh and the spirit, between the ego and humility, between fear and courage, it's not unique to any political party. It's the human condition. And when we lose sight of that, we start to mistake symptoms for root causes. We think we're angry at a politician when in fact, we're just disappointed in ourselves for not speaking up, for not living authentically, or for not becoming the person that we know we were created to be. It's far easier to critique someone else than to face our own inconsistencies. But growth It only comes when we do the hard inner work. That means asking uncomfortable questions. Why does this person provoke such a strong reaction in me? What part of me feels threatened and why? Am I more concerned with being right or being whole? When we view others, especially public figures, through the lens of self-awareness, something transformative happens. We begin to see that our outer conflicts are often reflections of our inner dissonance. We realize that before we can change the world, we must wrestle with the parts of ourselves that resist change. The solution isn't found in defending or destroying Trump. The solution is found in doing our own internal housekeeping. We must stop outsourcing the responsibility for our emotional reactions and start confronting the beliefs, the fears, and the desires that fuel them. That's the only path to true maturity, healing, and peace. Now, to be clear, this is not a defense of everything Trump has said or done, nor is it a condemnation. Rather, it is an invitation to look deeper, to recognize that the intensity of our reactions says more about us than about him. When we stop blaming external figures for our internal turmoil, we reclaim our power and we can then begin to live intentionally, love generously, and speak truthfully because we are no longer acting from our wounds, but responding from our wholeness. The truth is, I, like all of us, want to become someone greater than who I am right now. That's not a political desire, it's a human desire. So let's not allow public figures to distract us from the real work, becoming the person that God intended us to be. In the end, the most important campaign we will ever run is the one for our own soul. Madam Toastmaster.